Business credit cards, the personal guarantee trap, and how to avoid it. So here's a personal guarantee illusion. Your personal credit isn't really separated. See, most entrepreneurs celebrate by thinking that they've successfully obtained business credit without necessarily tying their personal guarantee to it. And the problem is that's actually wrong. And the reason why, it's because most major business credit cards, specifically like Chase, Bank of America, Capital One, are technically tied to your personal credit. And most of them will require a personal guarantee approval. And that means that you, and not just your LLC, is going to be liable for that particular account. And it means that you are 100% legally responsible for that debt. So what is a personal guarantee? Let's go over the fine print. So essentially, a personal guarantee is where you, the business owner, make a promise to pay back the debt and assume it on a personal level. When you're filing personal credit card applications or business credit card applications, a lot of times there's a system in which a personal guarantee is required, which means that the approval is based on the merits of your personal credit. And a lot of times these terms include a personal guarantee to pay the debt in full. And unfortunately, this supersedes your business's entity or the requirements or the strength, because you are signing in a personal guarantee. And on top of that, that means that your personal assets can be seized or put to subject when it comes to debt repayment. So let's talk about the SSN connection, which is your social security card, and how it's connected to the business credit card applications. So when you apply for business credit cards, a lot of times they're going to ask for your personal credit, such as your personal social security number. And on top of that, they will also ask if you have a legitimate business operating and have an entity, for your EIN, which is your employer identification number. Obviously, their social security number is tied to your personal credit, which means that you're not personally guaranteeing the business funding. When they're making the approval, a lot of these credit bureaus or credit card applications will look into credit bureaus and basically pull your personal credit to verify the legitimacy or the risk factor when it comes to approving for the funding. So when it comes to, from a credit reporting standpoint, it's basically a business credit, but with a personal guarantee tied to it. Basically, it's a sticker saying business credit card, but the reality is it's actually backed by a personal guarantee. So there are several risks when it comes to using your personal guarantee when it comes to funding your business loans. Let's talk about these together. The risk number one, obviously, is when you're borrowing, that this business credit card actually shows up on your personal credit reports. Unfortunately, unlike true business credit, which is like Dun & Bradstreet business credit from Experian or Equifax business credit, this will actually show up on all three credit reporting agencies, depending on the type of cards you get, such as Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. So essentially, when you're getting approved, such as let's say an example of $25,000 business credit card, especially if you're signing personal guarantee, you're basically signing another $25,000 in your personal credit. And unfortunately, when you're going for mortgages or applying for real estate loans and so on and so forth, if you use your personal guarantee to sign those credit cards for your business, that will actually count towards the underwriting, unfortunately. And that doesn't matter even if your business generates revenue. It's unfortunate because now it is tied to your personal credit and it's showing up on your personal credit. Another risk is that using a lot of this business credit, especially if it's tied to your personal credit, and if you use a lot of it and you have high utilization, it'll technically affect your personal credit utilization as well. So obviously we talked about the utilization game quite a bit on this channel already, where a lot of people recommend keeping it below 30%. And while I say it'd be a minimum between 1 to 9% max, unfortunately, when you're using business credit, especially if it's tied to your personal guarantee, a lot of that card will be used for expenses specifically to grow your business. A lot of times it's not abnormal that your business credit specifically tied to your personal guarantee is up to 80% utilization, unfortunately, because you need it for day-to-day expenses of your business. Another risk, which is the late payments. If you miss a payment on those business credit cards specifically tied to your personal credit, it will report to your personal credit. And we know that personal credit is very important when it comes to leveraging for wealth building. However, the payment history is the biggest factor when it comes to calculating your FICO score. So if you miss a payment with them, that means that you're going to get tremendously affected. Your scores will tank, even though it's a business credit card. It's unfortunately tied to your personal credit. The risk number 4 is if you fail or the business fails, unfortunately, it becomes a financial disaster for you on a personal level, because now all your personal credit is tied to that business credit. And because the business failed, because you signed personal guarantees, the lot of debts that you've signed for, you will have to personally repay, unfortunately. And this means that creditors from a business standpoint can go and garnish your personal wages to go after the debt that you personally guaranteed, even if it means your LLC is trying to file a petition for bankruptcy. Now let's talk about the timeline of damages, how one business mistake can haunt you for years to come. Unfortunately, if you're using personal credit to sign for business loans, and let's say the business doesn't do well or it doesn't bode well, you're struggling, and now the business is catching up to late payments, your credit utilization is maxed, and eventually, let's say your business becomes well. Unfortunately, during those incidents where you're having a difficulty, or you went through ups and downs, or even a roller coaster on a business level, your personal credit was always tied to that business credit, which means that there's a lot of damage that is now kind of carrying over, unfortunately, with it. So let's talk about the strategies to really separate your personal credit and your business credit. The first strategy is to build true EIN level business credit. Separate your personal and then just leverage your employer identification number, which is your EIN, to build the business credit. When it comes to applying for business credit, such as Grainger, Uline, and so on and so forth, obviously you can just use your EIN number to apply. Make sure you have all the compliance pieces done. And we talk about that in another video, which we'll talk about establishing business credit in a more detailed manner. However, these are essentials and you absolutely need these key items before even handing out a single application. You also want to make sure that you register for your Dun & Bradstreet, which reports a majority of your business credit. When building it this way, you are creating true separation from your social security number, which means you're simply building on the EIN number itself. Strategy number 2 is to start with what we call net 30 vendors. These are the ones that are easier to apply with because they're simpler and have easier controls when it comes to applying with business credit. As mentioned, companies like Grainger, Uline, and so on and so forth are pretty much standardized to do net 30s. So you can start applying with your EIN to start obtaining business credit with those suppliers and vendors so that you have an independent business credit system being built on the side without your social security number. Unfortunately, a lot of people shortcut and try to go to the next step or tier 2 of business credit. I would recommend at least spend 3 to 6 months seasoning those, ordering $200 to $300 worth of items, and then move on to tier number 2 of business credit. Strategy number 3 is like at a personal situation, but in a business, is to get a secured credit card for your business. Put a security guarantee against your business only on the EIN itself to start building business credit separately. Just like personal credit, except you're doing a cash deposit on behalf of your business and only the EIN number is the one that's applying. And now you're getting a business secured credit card so that you can start leveraging and building the credit. Also, this particular card should be technically reporting to, let's say, Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax Business, and Experian Business so that you have the optimal velocity to go ahead and build your business credit. Unfortunately, a lot of times with business credit, unlike personal, this may require between 12 to 18 months of payment history and not just simply 6 to 9 months. So it does take a little bit longer. However, once established, you will be well on your way to borrowing without using personal guarantee. Strategy number 4 is a lot of people use their personal credit to fuel their business growth, which you can do at an early stage. However, you got to do so in a responsible way. You can leverage a lot of personal credit and borrow from that, take the funds and put in the business entity, and then start building business credit using the money that you now acquired on a personal level, so long as you do so in a responsible way. This will create a bridge in which you're able to leverage in order to give your business credibility in the short run while still having strong independent financial controls of your personal credit. If you do so in a responsible way between 12 to 24 months, you'll be building amazing business credit. Strategy number 5 is to graduate from what we call personal guarantee to no PG. Again, a lot of people will use their personal credit to start a bridge to lend money to their business. And also don't forget about the secured card strategy and the net 30 vendors and so on and so forth. After 12 to 24 months, typically, if you do it in a way that's very strategic, you use the money, you pay it down, you become a responsible borrower, and you have a high paydex score, which is a very important score that Dun & Bradstreet calculates when it comes to your business credibility, you should be able to graduate from PG to no PG and start borrowing, given that you have financial controls and that you've demonstrated on-time payment history. So remember, the business credit game is different than a personal credit game. It's the long haul. You're building a legacy, you're building a business. So therefore, it takes a little bit more patience, strategy, and gall in order to make sure that you're able to do so in a very successful way. There's a very specific timeline when it comes to escaping your personal guarantees to go directly to the EIN so you can graduate there and still maintain strong financial controls and strong credit worthiness for your business. Again, it requires personal borrowing at the beginning. It requires that your business has the capability to pay the debts back. It's financially responsible. It has strong business bankable relationships, strong supplier vendor relationships, and so on and so forth. Remember, this is a long journey, so don't compromise, but do the business credit building right so that you can avoid the personal guarantee trap. And so with all that said, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Don't forget to join our free community where we teach about credit. Also go over Q&As every single Tuesday so we can answer some of your credit questions, even if it's a business credit related question. And if you enjoyed this video, once again, don't forget to share it with those that technically benefit from this information. And with all that said, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.